Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, and welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi, Zevachim Daf Mem Tes. We begin on Mem Tes Amud Aleph, 13 lines off the top of the Amud. We're going to continue exploring Tzafon, the halacha of the Tzafon location. So we already learned that the Karban Oila, which was the first point of reference for Tzafon in the Torah, that's the source for all the other Karbanis. So the Shechita, the Kabbalah of the Karban Oila must take place in the Tzafon side, in the northern side of the Azara. Likewise, by extension, we carry that over to the Chatas as well. As the Pasuk says, B'makriv the Chatas, do the the Shechita, the Kabbalah of the Chatas in the same exact location as the Oila, which means Tzafon. Now we explore Tzafon further regarding an Asham. How do we know that the Asham requires Tzafon as well? Asham minol on the Bayit Tzafon. How do we know Tzafon is a requirement? How do we know that it applies to the Asham as well? The Pasuk says the Asham is done in the same place as the Oila, which we already know is Tzafon. Yishchatu es ha-Asham. So actually the Pasuk there, that's the Pasuk which is a general reference to the general Karbanis Asham. We know there are different types of Karban Ashams. Like we have the Asham Metzora coming up soon, which is actually an exceptional, unique variation of Asham. But in general, V'zois Terasa Asham, this is the general process for the Asham, Kodesh Gel Asham Hu, and the Pasuk continues, V'mokim Asher Yish Chatu Asa Oila, Yish Chatu Asa Asham. Okay, so in general, Asham is identical in location to an Oila. Okay, so that's regarding the Shechita, Ashkan Shechita. Now we know Shechita. Kabbalah Minolan, what about the Kabbalah? Collection of the blood of the Asham that requires Tzafon. Because the same pasuk continues with the words Ve'ez Damai, and the blood. So blood has the same status, Ve'ez Damai Yizraik. We learn Kibul Damai, Nami Bit Tzafon, the Kabbalah of the blood is in Tzafon as well. What about Mekabal Atzma Minolan? Okay, so the actual blood is collected on the northern side. What about the person doing the collection? Can he perhaps stand right across the dividing line in Darim? No. It could have said Damai. It says Vi Es Damai. So the extra, the actual word Ves, right? Could have just said Vi Damai Yizrak. The extra Ves covers the Makabal, the Kohen doing the Kabbalah as well. Fine. Ashkon the mitzvah. We have established that it's a mitzvah for both the Shechita and the Kabbalah to be in Tzafon. La'akiv Minola. What about Li'akiv? We know throughout Kachim that unless something had been repeated in the Torah for emphasis, to tell you that in fact it's essential, it's critical. Otherwise, it's required, it's meant to be, but it's not going to hold back, it's not going to impede the process. So how do we know that in fact Tzafon is Ma'akiv? La'akiv Minolan. Krachin Eksiv. We have another pasuk. And this pasuk actually speaks about an Asham that a Metzora brings. V'shachat es hakeves, and the pasuk reads like this. V'shachat es hakeves. Very important to note the entire pasuk. We begin v'shachat es hakeves mokim asher yishchat es hachat v'sa'ila. First of all, the shechita of the keves of the Asham Metzora takes place where? The same place as the chatas. So we connect him to the chatas, who himself is connected to the oila, and also ve'es oila, same place as the oila as well. Happens to be Tzafon, right? B'mokim hakadosh. Pasuk continues. Why ki kechatos ha'asham hu? This Asham Metzora, although it's a bit different, it sort of, drums his own beat, as we're going to see soon. But in many ways, in almost all ways, the Chatas and the Asham coincide. So the Asham is like a Chatas and follows the same process. Kodesh Gel Asham Hu. So we're focusing right now on part A of this pasuk. V'shachat es hakeves, b'mokim asher yishchat es hachat v'sa'ila. Hence, an Asham has the same location as the Chatas and Oila. As the Gemara, b'halachi da'asa, do you mean that this pasuk is coming to tell us this halacha? That Tzafon by Asham is Me'akiv? Look at this sign, it's needed for something else and unavailable for our halacha today. The pasuk, the Brisa begins like this. So this is one of the methods of derivation called one of the Yud Gimel Midas. Sha'atar and Dreshes, one of the ways that we learn, that we analyze the psukim, davar shahi b'chlal. You have an item which had been included in the general package. It was part of the family, such as the Asham Mitzvah, which is really part of the Asham family. And was singled out and given its own laws, given some unique elements not found in the rest of the family. So the question is, what happens to the rest of the halachas? So in this sense, he's unique, he's different. What about regarding everything else? Does he run his own track, or is he back in the family? You have no right to bring him back into the family and apply all those halachas to him as well, unless the Torah actually does that explicitly. Bring him back home regarding everything else. Ketzad. A real life example is the Asham Mitzvah. So that's the pasuk we just quoted. V'shachat es hakeves v'malkem asher yishchat es hachatas ha'olah v'malkem ha'kodesh ki kechatas ha'asham hu. Right? Shein Talmud loymar kechatas ha'asham. Why does the Torah have to wrap it up? Well, you should know this asham is like a chatas. What's the purpose of this, correlation? Ma Talmud loymar kechatas ha'asham. The answer is that we know that the Asham Mitzvah, despite his differences, despite his uniqueness, is right. The blood of the Asham Mitzvah is placed on the earlobe of the Mitzvah, and this unique process is unfound anywhere else. So, how do we know that otherwise, regarding other halachas, regarding standard halachas? He's included in the family. Because Asham Mitzvah was singled out and given his unique elements. For instance, b'baya and yad, blood is placed on the Mitzvah's thumb, b'baya and regel, his toe thumb, b'baya nimanis, his right ear. So due to these uniquenesses, perhaps lo yehe ton matan damim. What about the standard procedure of placing the blood of a carbon on the mizbech, or the fats? Perhaps it doesn't apply to Asham Mitzvah. He runs his own system. So how do we know the answer is yes? Talmud loymar. The pasuk comes back and says, despite his uniquenesses, despite his differences, regarding standard fair halachas, he's part of the family and follows the same system. We connect him to a standard chatas. Ma chatas, just like a regular chatas tuna, ma tantam, ve'emurin, l'gam mizbeach. The blood and fat is on the mizbech. Af Asham Mitzvah. Likewise, this Asham Mitzvah has the same requirements. Ton matan damim ve'emurin gam mizbech. So, we now understand that the Torah had to go out of its way to compare, right, our unique Asham Mitzvah to the chatas regarding Matan Dam Meimurim and the beginning of the pasuk, which was the focal point of our discussion. V'shachat es hakeves, right? B'malkim, the same place as the chatas, which meant tzafin. Otherwise, you wouldn't even know tzafin by the Asham Mitzvah. Perhaps he's different. He runs his own track, his own system, his own rules. So this equation that the Asham is like the chatas is needed locally for the Asham Mitzvah, unavailable to be considered a repetition, to tell you that in general, the halacha of tzafin by a general Asham is me'akib. There's no repetition. It's critical to actually express it by the Asham Mitzvah, lest you think he doesn't have all these halachas. Im Kain says the Gemara, because if that would be the purpose, just to allow the Asham Mitzvah back in the family, nichteh b'hai, lo nichteh b'hai. Okay. So the Torah would say it over here by the Asham Mitzvah. You should know that he has the same rules as the chatas. He needs tzafin, and the Torah would not say it in that first pasuk. Remember that first pasuk? V'zois teres ha'asham mokem asher yishchatos ha'olah yishchatos ha'asham. A general directive that an asham is located the same place as the. What for? Once you know that Asham Mitzvah, despite his differences, has a halacha of tzafin, you would assume tzafin applies to every asham. So that extra pasuk there is a repetition to tell you that tzafin by Asham is me'akib. Well, hold it, says the Gemara. That works. If you hold that when the Torah singles out an item separates him from the pack, from the family, regarding certain, components. So he's different than them, but they can still learn from him regarding halachas that are standard, that are not unique. We assume that, it applies to all the whole family as well, if it applies to him. Hanicha isvirul, and that works if we say Yatz Lidim Davar Chadash, when an item was singled out, given his own elements, so he has no right to learn from his family because he's different. And that necessitates and requires that the Torah, explain and express clearly that in fact he has the regular halachis. But regarding his siblings, so to speak, the rest of the pack, the rest of the family, they can learn from him regarding standard halachas like tzafin. Tzafin is nothing unique by the Asham Metzora. So if it applies to Asham Metzora, the rest of the siblings can learn from him too. Shabbos, now it works. We have the initial source from the Asham Metzora, and then the extra pasuk for repetition to tell you that's miyakiv. Elo yisvir lamar, if you hold it, nobody can learn from each other. When something is unique, he stands on a pedestal and he's untouchable. He can't learn from them, they can't learn from him. Elo yisvir lamar, but if we hold it, loyhu gomer michlola, he can't learn from the rest of the pack. Likewise, the rest of the family cannot learn from him. So just because the Asham Metzora requires tzafin, they can't learn from him. How do they know they need tzafin? The rest of the karbanos asham. Halugu for Yitzchak, so they need their special pasuk. If Zois Teres Asham, then every asham needs tzafin. The answer is kivin nahadri ahadri. Part B of this pasuk by Asham Metzora says ki kechatas ha'asham hu. He's the same as the chatas. Okay, so if he's the same regarding the blood and the fats and the mizbeach, regarding tzafin. So now we have an extra pasuk, which is part A of that pasuk, which says, well, the Asham Metzora, same place as the chatas and oila, meaning tzafin, which is the second time we have that. Right, on top of the general pasuk by the general Asham, which needs tzafin. So that's a repetition to tell you that's mi'akiv. I don't understand. Ema, we can still say, ki ahadri kra, true. In part B of this pasuk, Torah compares Asham Metzora to the chatas. Fine. But regarding certain things, perhaps only regarding the dam and the murin, which are important and higher value items, they must be executed by a kohen only. So maybe regarding that, he's compared to a chatas. But perhaps regarding shchita, which doesn't require a kohen, anybody can do it. Perhaps it's not such a high value activity and doesn't need tzafin. Regarding that, it's not compared to the chatas. Imkain, if that were so, the pasuk would say kechatasu. Part B of the pasuk would be more short, would be shorter, more brief. Well, he's like a chatas. Regarding what? High value items only. Why does the Torah elaborate further? Maiki kechatas ha'asham. He's like a chatas the asham, to tell you kishar asham mesiyah, that in fact the Asham Metzora, despite his differences, is compared to the other karbanos asham, which needs tzafin. Okay, so now we know from part B of the pasuk, leaving part A of the pasuk, that an asham is like a chat, to be extra, redundant, to provide that repetition, to tell you that in fact the halach of the asham location by any, the tzafin location by any asham, be it a regular asham, Asham Metzora, is in fact ma'akiv. Ask the Gemara. Okay, just one more side question. The pasuk compares the Asham Metzora, right, to both to the chatos and to the oila. The question is, why both equations? Why both connections? So in reality, really the halach of tzafin was stated first by the oila. He's the source, he's the first point of reference, and everything learns from the oila. The chatas learns from the oila by way of a hekesh, right? Got this the other day, right? Torah says the same place as the oila is the chatas. That's a hek, that's a connection. So the question is, why does the Torah compare the Asham Metzora to the source, the ultimate source, which is the oila, and also to the chatas? Lama li lakush, the chatas. Lama li lakush, Amar Ravina, I'll tell you why. Israel is coming to tell you another interesting point. A rule regarding channeling information when it comes to karbanos. To tell you that you can't make a double connection. You can't take information from point A to point B and then from point B to point C. You can't do a double import. Such as the halach of tzafin, from oila to chatas, and then further from chatas to asham. It wouldn't work. And that necessitated a direct connection from asham to the source to the oila. So that's the answer. Istrich, it's required. I akshel chatas. If only for that connection from asham to chatas and not to oila, to the actual source of. I would say, chatas mehechan lamda. How does chatas know it's tzafin? Oila comes from the oila. Then does that mean davar halamed behekesh? Tzafin, which was learned from the oila to the chatas through a hekesh, chayzer melamed behekesh, could now be transferred further. Chayzer melamed behekesh could be transferred further from the chatas to the asham. That's incorrect. That necessitated a direct connection from asham to the source, which is oila. Okay, very great. So just limit that connection to the oila, if that's what you're coming from. Fine, so connect the asham to the oila, not to the chatas. Why does the Torah mention that dual connection? The answer is to highlight the requirement to go direct. Here you have two options. Look, which option must you choose? The oila. If the Torah would not mention the chatas, it wouldn't necessarily have this message transferred. But now the Torah does mention both options. Look, asham needs tzafin. We're going to connect them to the chatas and to the oila to highlight the requirement of going to the source. No, really, you would think you can go to the chatas. Problem is, chatas itself is not a source. He's coming from the oila. No, you have to go straight to the source, to the oila. So it brings out this point. Says Mahavamina, because if we only have one connection from the asham to the oila, I would say davar lamed behekesh, chayzer lamed behekesh. Generally, an item which was learned to a hekesh can be transferred further. There's no inhibition to doing that. Okay, if that's the case, so then why doesn't the pasuk connect him to just the chatas? Well, perhaps you would answer by saying, well, I can explain why the Torah preferred the oila. Go straight to the source. But no, it's not that it's critical to go to the source. It's more comfortable. It's more clear. Rather than connecting him to the secondary derivative, which is the chatas. That would be if, right? This is all if. The pasuk would only present one single connection from asham to oila. I would say, well, it's just a matter of preference, but it's not really critical. Torah goes out of its way. Torah says, let me connect him, the asham tzara, to both, to primary oila and to secondary to the chatas, to tell you that even though I'm mentioning the chatas, you got to steer clear. The only way you can derive is actually by going to the oila. Remember to teach us this point. It's an important lesson that in fact davar lamed behekesh, item which was learned through a hekesh, such as the tzafin by chatas learned from the oila, can't turn around and transfer that further to the asham. Rather, the asham has to go directly to the source, which is the oila. Rava says, I have another source to this lesson that you can't do a double hekesh. We have a pasuk. This is by the par kohen moshuach. Kohen gadol who sinned, he brings a par, and the pasuk there speaks about the process of the makriv the par. There are portions of the animal on the mizbeach, the yiseres hakavit, part of the liver, shtei hakloyos, the kidneys. That's all said and all clear. Now the par helam davar shel tzibur, a different carbon, that's the community carbon. There it doesn't clearly say that these parts of the animal are on the mizbeach. How does he know? He learns from the kohen mashuach. We have a hekesh. Remember that pasuk, v'asa kasher asa, right? So let's just keep track. We're talking about the specific halacha of yiseres hakavit u'shnei hakloyos on the mizbeach. So this is called this halacha, right? So this halacha is imported to the par helam davar from where? Source, which is kohen mashuach. There's yet a third carbon that needs to know this halacha, which is this area of Avodah. When the tzibur sinned in idol worship, bring a goat. And this halacha is not stated there. This halacha meaning the yiseres hakodesh, the hakodesh, right? Rather, he learns, but we have a hekesh. Right? Hekesh is where the psukim are stated in close proximity, allows for a connection. So we transfer that information from the helam davar to the sira of Avodah. Problem is, apparently it's a double connection. Taking the same information, the same halacha, from point A, which is kohen mashuach, to point B, helam davar, to point C, which is sira avodah zara. So in order to preempt that, To avoid that, to bypass that, the Torah has to go and say like this. The Torah has to somehow craft a system where this halacha was actually stated in Helam Davar. That becomes the source, which now allows it to be transferred to just one derivative. Now the question is, it doesn't say it in the source, in the Helam Davar. It says it back in Koy Mashuach. Says the pasuk by Koy Mashuach, Kashayura Mashar Zevach Shlamim. Just as they removed certain parts and put on the mizbeach from the shlamim, same with the Koy Mashuach. Now this pasuk seems to be extra, redundant, unneeded. What's the point of this pasuk? Is it to teach us regarding the parts of the animal and the mizbeach by the Koy Mashuach? It already says it there clearly. It's clearly articulated here in the Koy Mashuach. Why the extra pasuk? Well, you take off things like by the shlamim. What? Amra Papa. The point is like this. Because in reality we know that we intend on transferring information from point B. Let's say carbon A is the Kohen Mashuach, just for clarity. Carbon A is the Kohen Mashuach. Carbon B in this arrangement is the Par Helam Davar. Carbon C is Siri Avedisar. We intend on transferring information from carbon B, Helam Davar, to carbon C, which is Siri Avedisar. Mishum the boy Agmuri. We're going to try to learn and export the halacha of the Yeseres. Mi par, from where? From the Par Helam Davar to where? To carbon C, final destination. The issue is this halacha wasn't stated in the carbon B itself. He's coming from carbon A. He's learning yet from carbon A. So carbon B himself is a derivative. He doesn't have the power to turn around and send it to carbon C. That's the answer to the question. That's why the Torah articulates this pasuk. Which is actually a pasuk in carbon A and Kohen Mashuach. But it's an extra pasuk. And we know when we have an extra pasuk, we will send it over to an address which needs it. We send it over to the Par Helam Davar, carbon B. And now it's considered as though this information, this halacha, is stated locally within carbon B. He himself becomes the source of his information. We ignore the fact that he learns the specifics from carbon A. This extra pasuk is now sent over to Par Helam Davar. It becomes yours. This is Helam Davar original material, which allows him to turn around and send it to his derivative. Just one shipment. It's considered as if the halacha was stated within Helam Davar itself, and now it allows for him to transfer that information over to carbon C, and we avoid any issue of double connection, of double export. In this way, we avoid that it's no longer davar alone behekish, something learned through a hekish, chayzer behekish, which will now have to go and export to another hekish. So again, the ultimate destination is carbon C, Seiri Avedisara, regarding the halacha of the Yeseres HaKadosh De'aklayas, which is learned from Helam Davar, carbon B, which learns from carbon A, which is Koy Mashuach, but you can't do a double connection. We have an extra pasuk by Koy Mashuach, Kasha Yuram. We transfer that pasuk to carbon B, to Helam Davar. So now this information is stated locally, it's yours, which enables you to pass it on further. Ask the Gemara. I have a question to you, Rava. You know what? Avoid the whole confusion. So, there were like two steps here, right? Truthfully, it's like a double connection, but we avoid the double connection by transferring information to carbon B, which makes it as though it's stated locally. You know what? So why can't the Torah just clearly state it locally? Just say it right there. That the Yeseres HaKaved, Shtei HaKloyes, I'll put on the Mizbeach, say it right in carbon B. Rather than require carbon B to connect to carbon A and learn from him, and then we run into the question of the double export. We have the extra words, and says, though it says, just say it clearly locally on carbon B. The answer is then we wouldn't have this lesson taught. The whole point is to show, to point, to highlight that you have a potential double connection, but we can't use it. We can't activate it. We have to avoid it. We have to bypass it because it's not a legal means of deriving, just as we said before. That's only going to be expressed and taught if we are clearly presented with two options and we choose a more direct option rather than indirect option. That highlights the halacha and the necessity to do so. Okay, that's going to be the answer. So why not just simply state it over here by Helam Davar without connecting Helam Davar back to Kohen Mashuach and running into the whole double connection? The answer is because if it were so, the halacha would be clearly articulated here in Par Helam Davar, rather than connect them to the Kohen Mashuach. I would say, well, Davar Alon Bekesh, Kohen Alon Bekesh. Yeah, generally you can make a double connection. We have no proof otherwise. And the fact that the Torah chose not to use double connection, it's more convenient, it's more clear. Perhaps so why doesn't the Torah connect the Helam Davar to Mashiach? Torah prefers having it stated here rather than requiring him to connect to Kohen Mashiach and learn from there. It's a more direct. That's what I would think. If, in fact, it would be stated over here in Helam Davar itself. But you wouldn't learn much lesson from it. That's where the Torah goes out of its way. Writes it and connects it. Connects carbon B to carbon A. Regarding the Yeseres HaKavod, the Shtei HaKloyos. And also Kasve. Expresses an extra pasuk there, right? Which is now transferred to Helam Davar to tell you that it's local. It provides you sort of with both options. To tell you, to teach you that carbon C, Soira v'Dezora, cannot utilize the double connection. Lemember to tell you the reason why the Torah had to add that explicitness within Helam Davar to facilitate a transfer over to carbon C, which wouldn't otherwise be legal. Remember to tell you, because something which is learned through a connection, such as the Yeseres HaKavod Shtei HaKloyos, which is learned by Helam Davar from Kohen Mashuach, cannot be transferred further to Avodah Zarah. And that's why we have an extra pasuk by Helam Davar. It's local. It's yours. Now it's yours. You can transfer it over to just one. Transfer to Avodah Zarah. Okay, so in a nutshell, Davar Alon Behekesh Ein Chayzer. In fact, you cannot make a double connection. We have two sources for that, whether it's the original one, Ravina, or the most recent one, Rava's source, Ima de Rav, Ima de Ravina. Now, what about Davar Alon Behekesh, information that was learned through a Hekesh, and wants to be transferred further, not by way of a Hekesh channel, by way of a Gzera Shava. So Hekesh is different than Gzera Shava. Hekesh is where you have close proximation. It's in the same pasuk, or two items mentioned next to each other in close proximity. So we make that connection. But Gzera Shava uses words. We compare similar words. A word's in this pasuk, a word in that pasuk, we connect it to contexts and import the information over. So perhaps if it's not an identical method, not a Hekesh to a Hekesh, perhaps Hekesh to a Gzera Shava allows for a double transfer, even by karbanos. That's the next question. Davar Alon Behekesh, something learned from a Hekesh. Mao Shilam Gzera Shava can be transferred further through Gzera Shava. Tashma comes a raya that he could. Rabbi Nasman of Tumlas Omer. So we're going to transfer to the halacha of Negoim. There's a nega that can be present on a person's skin, a white blotch on his skin, a nega on his head and beard area, a place where hair grows. We can have a nega on his garment. Then the halacha is on a skin nega that spreads throughout the entire body. It's actually, believe it or not, it's tahar. He's fully covered, he's tahar. He loses the tumah of the nega. What about a nega on a beged which spreads? What about a nega on the head and the hair? Pricha is where the white spots spread throughout the entire beged. We've got them regarding garments. It's tahar as well. How do we know that's tahar? Nemar. We make a Gzera Shava. We have the words karachas v'gabachas regarding the garments. We've got them. V'nemar, we have the same term regarding a nega on the hair area on the person. And just like over there, malahal, just like by the personal nega, parach b'kulei torah, it's spread throughout the entire body, he's torah. Afkan here as well on the beged, parach b'kulei torah. How do we know that by the personal nega, this is so? Because we have by the skin nega, which is the third type, skin nega, hair nega, and beged nega, right? And we have the nega on the house, but we're just going to discuss the personal and the beged now. So by the skin nega, it says MeroshVad Ragla. Right? The nega is found anywhere from heads to his feet. Right? So that makes a connection. The fact that the Torah references his rosh and his regel in the same breath. The iskish rosh or the regel connect. The rosh, which is where hair grows, the regel to his foot, where it's just skin. And we compare the rosh to the regel. Malal, just like on the skin, kulafach, lava, and parach b'kulei torah, if the nega spreads throughout the person, he's torah. Afkan here as well. Regarding the nega on a area where hair grows, kulafach, lava, parach b'kulei torah. And now, once we have that hekesh between skin nega and the hair nega, we export it further to the beged nega by way of gzera shava. So we see we can make a double connection through a hekesh and then through gzera shava. Amar b'yechanan. Yeah, b'chal Torah kulu l'meidin lamed v'lamed. Throughout the rest of the Torah, you can make a double derivation. Chutz min hakachim, except for karban related halachas. Shein dan in lamed milamed. You can't learn something from something which in itself derived from elsewhere. I'll prove it to you. You can't even do it by way of a hekesh over to gzera shav. They came because otherwise, why does the Torah express the halacha of tzafin by the asham, as we just discussed the whole sugi here? Lo yemer tzafin ba'asham. There's no need for the Torah to apply tzafin to an asham. We already know it. We can learn it from gzera shav, the kachei kachim, michatois. Because let's recall, oila is the source material for the asham. It's channeled over to the chatas by way of a hekesh. And now channel it further to the asham by way of gzera shava. It says kachei kedoshim by the chatas, kachei kedoshim by the asham. Export it to the asham. Oh, apparently you can't do that. Lav l'meimah, isn't that coming to tell us that you can't make a double export? The davar al-amed b'gzera shava, a halacha learned from a hekesh, behekesh, which is the halacha of tzafin by the chatas learned by way of hekesh from the oila. Ein chayzer umalamed b'gzera shava cannot be passed on further through gzera shava to the asham. That proves our point. Well, not so quick, says the Gemara, but perhaps you wouldn't be able to transfer information from the chatas to the asham by way of gzera shava because they're different. You can refute that connection. Malach chatas shekem nechaperes al chayve krisis. Perhaps chatas is more strict. It atones for severe kares, sins which an asham doesn't come to do. Well, the answer to that would be kachei kedoshim yiseri ksivi. We have several mentionings of the word kachei kedoshim. Rashi says that makes it a gzera shava mufna, an available gzera shava, because the psukim are not coming for anything else except for the gzera shava. It's a more clear, explicit gzera shava, which doesn't allow for any challenging and refutations and distinctions. So despite their differences, the asham and the chatz, you can connect them. So in fact, if this method of derivation was legal, why can't you? Why can't you take the halach of asham from the oila to the chatas through a hekesh over to the asham through gzera shava? Apparently you can't. Because by karbanos, you can't make a double export, whether it's hekesh to hekesh or hekesh to gzera shava. One more halacha, davar alon mehekesh. So now we're going to go through the whole list. Continuing into tomorrow's daf, we have basically 4 types of channels of a derivation. We have the hekesh, gzera shava, kal v'chomer, binyanav, and we're going to explore whether you can connect any of these to each other. So far we have hekesh to hekesh, doesn't work. Hekesh to gzera shava does not work. What about hekesh to kal v'chomer? Something learned through a hekesh, can you transfer it elsewhere by way of a kal v'chomer? You can do that. Davar alon mehekesh, chayzer, u'malam kal v'chomer. How do I know? With the Talmud Bavli, we had this back on the from Aleph regarding the halachas of dam, as discussed back then. So there was a halacha that was learned through a gzera shava, through a hekesh, which was then transferred through a kal v'chomer. Okay, so we discussed the halacha of tzafim by the asham mitzvah, by the general ashamis, it's the mitzvah, it's the akev, And we learned about double connections. All the best to you and Atzlacha, Rabbi.